Hi, boys and girls. We are going to go over and kind of do a recap on yesterday's learning target. So today's learning target in reading is doing some wondering and asking questions while we are reading. So I'm going to use maybe this one. So I'm going to read as and explain, and then we're going to practice it together. Okay, so it says, what is questioning? Questioning is a strategy that good readers use to engage with the text and actively read. Questioning as you read helps you to clarify and understand the text at a deeper level. Good readers ask and record questions. There. Sorry. Good readers ask and record questions before, during, and after they read, which we have seen before. Okay, so why won't that go away? Sorry, guys. So, how to ask meaningful questions? We actively read, so we read and think beyond the words of the text. We ask and record. What are you wondering? And you ask and record these thicker questions, which means you want them to be a little bit more meaningful, not just questions that are answered very quickly in front of you in the book, that we are wondering about before, during, and after we read. And then what we do is we check our wonderings and we ask ourselves, are my questions thick or thin? So a thick question means it takes a little bit more thinking and maybe some searching or waiting to find out, where a thin question means it might be answered right on that page. Maybe it's just right in front of us. So questioning, why are we spending time as a learning target in reading, learning about questioning? Because questioning helps all of us, but it helps you be an active reader. It helps you to make inferences as you read. And we're going to talk about that word inferencing a lot this year. It helps you to make connections and understand character actions and their emotions. And it helps you understand the story at a deeper level. So I'm going to show you this video, short, quick reminder of how we do this as a reader and what it means.
Hey, E-Sparkers. Phew, sorry I'm late. I was reading a story and just couldn't put it down. Today we're going to learn to ask and answer questions while we read. Can you guess what kinds of questions we ask? We ask who, what, when, where, why, and how questions while we are reading. Effective readers ask questions before, during, and after they read, and we can usually find answers to our questions in three main places: in the text, in our heads, or from another source. The reason we do this is because it helps us to understand a story better. Let's look at an example. We are going to read the first part of this article from Time for Kids. The title says, "Get Moving, Animals." I'm already wondering where the animals have to move and why. I want you to ask questions as we are reading too. We might not get answers to all of our questions, but that's okay. Sometimes we may want to go to another source to find out more about what we read. Let's start by reading this first part called "Go Canada Geese." In the fall, geese go south for the winter. They migrate to find food. They fly for miles. Have you seen geese flying in a V shape? They take turns flying at the front of the V. Great teamwork, geese. I think we found an answer to our first two questions. Do you know where the animals fly? That's right, they fly south. But why do they fly south? Awesome job. They fly to find food. Asking and answering questions is fun, isn't it? Let's keep reading. Every fall, millions of monarch butterflies fly south too. They migrate because they can't live in the cold. They spend the winter in warm places. Are you still wondering anything? I'm wondering how else the animals move south. Do they only fly? Could some animals walk or swim? Let's find out. This next part is titled Go Humpback Whales. It says, in the fall, these whales swim south. The water in the south is warm. The whales spend the winter there. They have babies. When spring comes, the whales migrate back north with their babies. Did this paragraph talk about how animals fly south? No, we learned that some animals swim south. Great job. Let's read the final paragraph. It's titled Go Mountain Goats. It says, in the summer, these goats live on the tops of mountains. In the fall, they walk and leap down to the bottom of the mountains. It's warmer there and more plants grow there for the goats to eat. I'm still wondering where the goats go to find food on the top of the mountain. I would guess that there's probably some grass on the top of the mountain that they can eat, but I might have to look at another source to find the exact answer to that question. Throughout this video, we asked lots of questions while we were reading. We were able to answer many of the questions either in our heads or in the text, but found that we might have to find the answers to a couple of our questions from another source. While you are reading, make sure that you ask and answer lots of questions too, because it'll help you understand the text better. I can already tell you're going to do great. Have fun.
Sorry, guys, trying to find my.
Oh, whales spend the winter there. They have babies.
It's time to figure it out. Live without any doubt. I have some friends to help me. Here's how it's gonna go. I'll ask.
Okay, my goodness gracious, I am sorry. That took me a second to find my way back to you. Okay, so boys and girls, also as we've seen in our videos the last couple days, is how important it is to ask questions while we're reading. And these last couple slides before we practice talks about the difference between a thick versus a thin question. So thick questions require us, the reader, to think beyond the text. It requires story clues and background knowledge to answer the question. And these questions are more meaningful and help us to grow as a reader. Where the opposite is called a thin question, which means these are questions that are answered very easily and quickly. They're found quickly in the text, and they have a simple one-word answer, which means then they do not require us as the reader to think, and they do not really help us grow as a reader. Okay, so think about that also today when you're wondering things in your story, is see if you can stretch the wonderings you have as well. It's not just thinking of one super quick and fast. So how are my questioning skills? So after you ask questions as a reader, you're going to stop and analyze, which means think about your questions. Are your questions answered with simple one-word answers, or are your questions answered with a combination of your thoughts and clues from the text? And sometimes do you have to go to another source to get that information? So boys and girls, we're going to read elephants. Okay, and I want you thinking and wondering while I'm reading elephants. It says, elephants. What's the biggest land living mammal in the world? The elephant. There are two types of these unique animals. The Asian or Indian elephant, found in Asia, and the African elephant, found in Africa. Both male and female African elephants have tusks, which are very long teeth and larger ears. Asian or Indian elephants are smaller and have smaller ears. Only male Asian elephants have tusks. Elephants use their tusks for digging and finding food. And right here would be my wondering. My wondering would be, what is it they're digging for? What is the food they are wanting? And there was another one I had up here too, is I was wondering how these two kinds of elephants look in comparison to each other. Is one taller? Is one shorter? Is one thinner and one more muscular? And how do they live in each of their environments? So a lot of my wonderings about these two elephants is how they're alike and how they're different. Elephants are herbivores. I wonder what an herbivore is. So that would be a wondering. So we don't always have to think big things about the story. We also can think things about and wonder about the words that are used to help us understand. Elephants are herbivores and spend their days collecting leaves, twigs, and bamboo to eat. Instead of a regular nose, elephants have trunks, which can be 6 feet long. They use their trunks to lift food and suck up water that they pour into their mouth. They can also use their trunk to breathe like a snorkel when they swim in deep water. There's my other wondering. And this will be my last wondering, because I want you to be wondering, and maybe some of your wonderings are different than mine. I want to know how deep the elephant can go or swim. Elephants are gigantic animals. They can grow to 11 feet tall and weigh up to 13,000 pounds. Baby elephants are called calves. Like other mammals, the babies drink their mother's milk. When they are born, they are 2 to 3 feet tall and weigh about 250 pounds. Wow. Because they are so big, elephants have no predators. The main risk to elephants in the wild is from changes to their habitats and from poachers hunting them for their ivory tusks. Elephants have bad eyesight, but have excellent hearing. They can hear each other's calls up to 5 miles away. So I'm going to hit pause a second, boys and girls, and I'm going to just scroll. As I was reading that to you, what's something you were wondering about the elephants? What's something you were wondering and want to know? Okay, so boys and girls, what you are going to do is you are going to add, a wondering to your Post-it. Okay, so I wondered, up here, is I wondered how they are different in height, the two kinds of elephants. So I'm going to go to my slide And I'm going to write down my wondering. How are they different and if you go off your post-it a little bit, that's okay. You can use your pen tool or your typing tool in Seesaw. How are they different in height? Are they the same? Was one a little bit shorter than the other? Okay, and I thought, so I also saw my other wondering was what they're digging for. What do they dig for? Okay, and I do know that this one I am probably going to need another source to find the answer, where this one was answered for us in the text. It told us the food that they were digging for. So it said they are collecting leaves, twigs, and bamboo to eat. So they're digging and finding food. So they spend their days collecting leaves, twigs, and bamboo to eat. So I would say maybe both. I hear some food they eat, but maybe I could use a source to see some actual examples of an elephant digging, and I could really see very specifically from my two sources that would give me a little bit more information about my wonderings. So think again, if you're having to get a little bit deeper with your learning, boys and girls, that remember that would be more like a thick question. A thin question I wouldn't have to think very much about. Hi, boys and girls, your next step, okay, now that we practiced with elephants, is you're going to come here into Seesaw and you're going to click on your template. And when you click on your template, you are going to use your pen tool to write out the wondering you had about elephants. And then, if you had a second one you really wanted to share with us, please write your second wondering in. You must fill in at least one. So you're going to go to today, which is 10/8, and it's titled My Elephant Wondering. Click the template. Well, first, we know you got to click Add Response, click your name. When you open up your name and you open up your template or activity, please type or write in a complete thought, a complete question of what you were wondering today about elephants. You remember though, my last tidbit of information is that I never wrote a fact. And I know sometimes third graders, you have a lot of knowledge and you're excited to share your knowledge, and I love that. But this skill isn't a fact finder, it's more of a wondering out of our curiosity and what we want to learn more of. So make sure you're writing a question and putting it in a question format. And I know in grammar, we are working on putting question marks at the end of a question. Okay, so please complete this activity, and then you can go to your next step on your reading activity steps on your schedule. Hi, boys and girls. Your next step, okay, now that we practiced with elephants, is you're going to come here into Seesaw and you're going to click on your template. And when you click on your template, you are going to use your pen tool to write out the wondering you had about elephants. And then, if you had a second one you really wanted to share with us, please write your second wondering in. You must fill in at least one. So you're going to go to today, which is 10/8, and it's titled My Elephant Wondering. Click the template. Well, first, we know you got to click Add Response, click your name. When you open up your name and you open up your template or activity, please type or write in a complete thought, a complete question of what you were wondering today about elephants. You remember, though, my last tidbit of information is that I never wrote a fact. And I know sometimes third graders, you have a lot of knowledge and you're excited to share your knowledge, and I love that. But this skill isn't a fact finder, it's more of a wondering out of our curiosity and what we want to learn more of. So make sure you're writing a question and putting it in a question format. And I know in grammar, we are working on putting question marks at the end of a question. Okay, so please complete this activity, and then you can go to your next step on your reading activity steps on your schedule.